Contract Deferred, getting paid until the day I die. Money coming in, but not one at bat, not one pitch, not one strike. Being deferred is where it's at. Deferred.
What is up, everybody? Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Podcast Named Deferred. I am your host, Seven. I want to start by saying thank you to the Sportsnets Network for asking us to join up with them. And it is always a big shout out to Wide Wire Sports, as we love working with them as well. Don't forget, you can also catch Podcast Named Deferred after wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Audible, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to ask your baseball questions in this chat, and we will be sure to get to them by the end of the show. There we go. What is going on today? Okay. We have a great show tonight talking about the hottest team in baseball right now, the Boston Red Sox, the questions in Detroit surrounding a potential trade of Tarek Skubal. Ando is going to be back with us, as you can see him there, joining us on the – meant to do that one. There we go. Joining us on his new segment. Nolan Arenado hits a huge milestone, and we are inching ever closer to the trade deadline. First, let me introduce my two co-hosts. I am just not on it this week, who make every week fun for me. Craig, I'm so glad to work with you each week, sir, despite the fact that you're a Giants fan. How's your week going?
It's going great. I'm really excited for the Red Sox, Really
I am too. This second game isn't looking quite as great as the others have, and earlier today did, but that's okay. It's a 15-win streak, so I'm gonna take what I can out of this. Dan, the check from the Yankees cleared, so you're back this week. How are you, sir?
How you doing, guys? Yeah, the Red Sox are playing well, huh? I can say that.
Yeah, you could say it with a straight face too. Like right. I'm proud of you.
Is that longest in franchise history? 15 games.
It's tied for the longest. If they manage to pull off a W tonight, they take the longest. But unfortunately, things did not look that great to start the game. I haven't recently checked it, but I don't think things are going our way tonight. But that's okay. You know what? It's been an amazing start. We're still going to talk about it. We are going to get to Ando's assessment. But first, it is my distinct pleasure that our lead-in topic is none other than the Boston Red Sox, and it's not because they're a dumpster fire floating in the ocean. Getting to talk about my team without fighting back uncontrollable rays and tears while wishing that my GM that looks like Joel Osteen turning into Golem is amazing. Following Monday night's come-from-behind win, the Boston Red Sox run a 14-game win streak. That is now 15 with the win that they had earlier today. The streak has included 4 consecutive sweeps. They are 19-2 since June 25th and now have sole possession of that last wildcard slot. In that time, the Sox have handled business against some really good teams, too. A 4-game sweep against the Yankees, followed by their only 2 losses to the Nats. And then the streak really started. They swept the Angels, outscoring them 20-8 in that series. They then swept the AL Central leading White Sox 15-2, who have become one of the best teams in baseball. And a sweep of the Mets by a total of 13-4, and a sweep of the best team in the American League, the Rays, which is weird to say, totaling 28-10. All before this series against the Orioles. That is a plus 52 run differential. That's 106 scored to 54. So almost double the runs scored as to what's allowed. Now let's start with this, Craig. What is Boston doing right that they weren't doing before? And when the bubble inevitably pops, which could be tonight, what do they need to do to keep going and stay in the hunt?
I hold in my hand the answers. I even went so far, out of respect for Red Sox fans out there and for you, Tony, to type this out
I
to make sure I got all my points across. So let's
Thursday
go with
is
it.
not cheap.
Let's go. Number one, your Red Sox are doing what every hot team has to do to prove Red Sox are a winning. They're not depending on one player to carry them. The key, as we talked about last week, pitching. Their pitching has been deep, and it keeps the bullpen fresh. Now, again, back to the starters. They're either going to make or break it, either make or break your heart, Tony. So far, they've been the absolute foundation of this run. We talked about the bullpen last week. The bullpen has not been giving away the games. They stopped that when the offense has cooled off, except for tonight. They've been protecting the lead. Huge, keeping the games close. Their defense, big improvement. We talked about last week also. Their defense has been a big improvement, making fewer mistakes. They've turned those close games that would have been losses in the past into wins. And contributions up and down the lineup. Everybody's in the pool. No one's looking down the bench and going, okay, who's going to be the one of the two stars that's going to win the game. Everybody's producing. That part is a huge turnaround. Last week, our conversation was, would they beat the teams on this then 14-game schedule? The Red Sox have surpassed our expectations. The sweep of the Rays should have woken up the other teams in the East. This is not the old Red Sox. When the bubble does burst, acceptable to me, we'll be playing at 550 to 600 pace. Under 500, look for trouble. The four things Red Sox need to continue doing: 6+ innings out of their pitching from the starters. If not, the bullpen has to come in early. That spells trouble. Avoid the home run chase, which they have not been doing, thank goodness. Right now, their bats are balanced. The whole field is being played. The pressure's on the opposing pitcher. Stay away from the 3-run home run. That would be trouble. And also, we talked about last week, adding help at the trade line. A legit late inning reliever and another starting pitcher keeps the defense sharp. I'm out.
Well, I think you said it quite well, Craig. Dan, what else, man? What do you see?
Craig kind of touched on it there towards the end. I like their offense is finding ways to score. They're not a power team, which is pretty crazy for the Red Sox. That's they're slugging type. They usually have like a big lefty and stuff like that. They have a lot of switch hitters, and they got a lot of guys that can run, which helps their defense too. They're playing well. They're just playing solid, dude. They're just not. Is this the management change? Like, that's pretty crazy, right? Like, really? I mean, they get the management change, and then they're playing completely opposite team. It seems like they've injected some kind of like veteran leadership, but they haven't. Like there's not any different pieces really. So it had to. A lot of it had to have come from Alex Cora, unfortunately. That is probably just a toxic situation. But yeah, it's good to know that some of their talent's playing well too. It's some of those guys that we talked about kind of being bust or whatever aren't being bust. They're playing to what the Red Sox thought they were going to be. So. And Sonny Gray helping the value of your out of 25 card, or you're out of 50.
And that's I'm very excited about the increase of that card. I looked the other day; it went from being worth 50 cents to it's actually worth almost $5 now.
I was going to say like
so.
$5.
That brings me a lot of joy. Now, I will say, for those of you that are just joining us, welcome in. The Red Sox did lose game 2, 5-1, so the streak does end at 15. But they still won the series against the Orioles. When we were talking last week, we said that the ideal situation is like 6-4, 7-10, or 7-3 out of that 10 games. Like, we wanted to see some solid numbers out of that, and that to me is the fact that we're already like, they could lose out and they still hit 6-4. Like, so that to me is a positive, but as far as like, when I look at the Sox, the run scoring is huge. And Boston has statistically had one of the best pitching staffs and the best defense in baseball. Now run scoring is matching, and we're getting to see what the boys in Boston are truly capable of. As far as what to do when the bubble pops. God dang it, I can't read what I wrote. It's not about getting hit in the mouth. It's about how you come back from that punch. Come back harder. Be aggressive at the deadline so that when you do get hit, you have something to hit back with. I love the idea of Shea Langoliers in a Red Sox uniform, and I'm warming to the idea of Gleyber Torres if Roman Anthony won't be back in time or will need some additional support. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I want both. And the thing for me is, while we're probably, once Roman Anthony gets back, we're probably going to see him a lot more than we do Gleyber Torres. Like let's be honest here. If you've got the choice between the two, you're gonna play Gleyber. You're gonna play Roman Anthony. But Gleyber Torres has a wealth of knowledge and experience, and that to me is huge. And then you can also play Matt if you have both of them, which I think is going to be great, especially with Roman being young, coming back from injury. And then there's been conversations or trade rumors over the last couple of days with Adley Rutschman and Shea Langoliers. I would much rather have Shea. And, you know, when you come from a great farm system, like playing for the Athletics on the major league level, when you come to a real team like Boston, you're already ready to go. And I think that to me is going to be very impactful to the future of Shea Langoliers. It's not that I don't like Connor Wong. It's not that I don't like Carlos Narvaez. But Connor Wong is hitting 280 this year, so you're going to get some decent trade for him in return anyway. You can send Connor Wong, and you don't have to send as much to get Shea Langoliers back. And then you've got Carlos Narvaez to back him up, and you have a left and right-handed catcher, which is what you should have. And I like what Boston is in position to do. For me now, I've got to see Craig. I've got to see Craig Breslow be intelligent at the deadline now. Now, before we move on to other topics, I am going to bring in a good friend to the show. You can catch him every Monday with me on the Sports Report and every Saturday on the Geek Gauntlet podcast. Ando, welcome in, sir.
Hi, guys. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Hey,
It's been a while. Glad to have you back, sir.
Thank you.
We are going to add a segment to our show every other week or so where I'm going to have Ando come in and break something down for us and give us his thoughts on a topic. Then I'm going to let my cohorts and I ask him a question or two, kind of grill him on it, make sure that we're not missing anything here so we can truly break it down. Today, Ando, the season has undeniably had some ups and downs for every team. This time of the year, though, we're normally talking about how the Astros are contending. This year, they're really in position to be sellers and build for the future. What has gone wrong with the Astros this year, and what do they need to do right? What do they need to do to right the ship and be ready to bounce back next season?
So I did a little research on this, right? So as of right now, they are tied 2-2 with the Miami Marlins. Bottom of the eighth, last that I checked. Currently standing at 49 and 54, 3 games back in the AL West lead. They're 4.5 games to the wild card. With as deep as the wild card is, I think the only team from the AL West is going to be your winner. I don't think a team makes it as a wild card with as well as everybody else is playing. So why the struggles? Last year, the Astros at 105 games into the season were 60 and 45, and they had the lead in the AL West. Why? And why does it feel off? Well, let's start with the offense. Everybody loves the home run ball, and the Astros are doing just that. They are currently third in the majors in home runs as a team, behind only the Nationals at 150 and the Yankees at 147. So they're obviously scoring runs, right? Absolutely not. That doesn't always correlate. The Mariners are a big example of that, especially last year when they had all the home runs, but they didn't have any extra base hits. The Astros right now are in the bottom half of the league, currently batting as a team 241. That puts them 17th in the majors. Their OBS is currently at 315, which is currently 19th in the league. And then their OPS, which is their on-base slugging percentage, is currently at 727, which puts them right about average. So when they do put bats to ball, they knock it out of the park, right? 137 home runs, or 139 home runs. That's a great accomplishment, especially at this point in the year. But you need to get people on bases to take advantage of those home runs, right? 2 and 3 run home runs are great, or 1 run home runs are great, but you want 2 or 3 home runs. You want those RBIs to start accumulating. But when you don't get those homers every time that you connect, you're not putting your team in good positions to get runners available to score where your ground hits are going to be there. I will say this, Jordan Alvarez is the reason that the team is playing well and is in the hunt offensively. He is the only bat right now that is batting over 260 consistently, and he is one of the only 2 players to bat over 250. Isaiah Paderes, I hope I said that name, is the only other bat that's hitting over 250, and that gentleman has missed 5 games. Now, I know people are asking, what about Jose Altuve? He's the spark that gets the team going. Kind of. The kid has missed 25 games this year, and he only has 12 home runs, which is down from what he had last year. And his batting average is only at 232, which is 4th best on the team. So if that's your argument, the offense isn't going to be there. Other bats need to step up, including Christian Walker and Bryce Matthews. Bryce Matthews, in particularly, was the one that stuck out the most. He's batting 197 over 200 base appearances. That is not going to work. So it's the offensive struggles that's making them bad, right? No, the pitching isn't there either. Their ace, Peter Lambert, is the only bright spot that I've seen. He's pitched 16 games. All of them have been starts, and he's got an 8-5 record. And his ERA is 3.03, which I thought was a little high until I took a look at everybody else on the team. Mike Burrows in 17 starts, Spencer Allargetti in 16 starts, and Tatsu Amai, I hope I said those names right, in 14 starts. All have ERAs of over 4.3. Burrows and Iami, in particularly, are north of 5.5. So even if you get those bats to start hitting, the pitching has to change. If you get into a pitcher's duel, this is the team that you want to play because their bats aren't going to come to work and they're going to give up runs. With all of that being said, I don't think the Astros can compete with any of the teams from the AL East. The Red Sox, the Rays, even the Yankees, with as bad as they're struggling, I don't think the Astros are the team to play. So if I'm looking at the Astros, I'm looking to sell. What can you give me for Christian Walker? Maybe even Jose Altuve if he's available. Shortstop, Carlos Correa. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. He's got a $21 million hit, though all of that is from the Minnesota Twins. I don't think they'll move off of him. My 2 pieces, if I'm Houston, that I'm looking at changing, Cam Smith and Jeremy Pena. If they can get some good value off of them, those are the 2 pieces that I would move. Now, 7, I'm going to say this with the caveat, because I am a goddamn Mariners fan. I hope the Astros don't do anything. I want them to sink, and I want the homeless Athletics to have a better record at the end of the season. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well said. Thank you for breaking that down. I appreciate you. Craig, go ahead. Ask your first question.
I only have one question as I represent the senior community. Speaking of seniors, will the off-season moves reflect a move away from relying on aging veterans for the Astros once and for all?
I would hope so. I think the way that the ball club was moving, especially since their championship in 2017, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that was the last time that they won it because they appeared in 2019 but lost to the Nationals in 7.
Right, yeah.
You got to have some veteran leadership, and this is where I would kind of say you hold on to Jeremy Pena because he's 28, so he'd be a nice bat and a nice clubhouse leader to have for maybe 4 or 5 more years because he's going to have that experience. I don't think you keep Altuve. I think he's going to be gone in the next year or 2 if they don't trade him before the deadline. Everybody else, if they can get it together, I don't see why you can't keep the core. But I think they need another pitcher to go with Lambert. Lambert is struggling on the island. When you have one pitcher with a winning record and everybody else is struggling, that's not going to do it for your ball club. You got to get somebody else to help out Lambert.
Dan?
That was a really good breakdown. Thank you. Isak Paredes.
Oh, Isak Paredes.
The name you
okay.
were looking at there in the middle of that.
All right.
That's a weird because it spells it like Isaac.
Yeah. And that's why I said I was more worried about the last name than the first name. So
yeah, Paredes. Yeah, it's very. Yeah, no, he's a good piece. I like the Astros a lot. I guess my only question would be Jordan Alvarez. What is Jordan Alvarez? Do you have the cap in front of you right now?
I can pull that up. Give me just a second. You said Jordan Alvarez?
Yeah. So Jordan Alvarez is the best left-handed baseball by far. He's hitting like 315. He's in a run for a triple.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, I was just going to ask what his. I think that they're probably thinking that they're going to go for it.
You think they would buy?
Yeah, I would think so. Just because of who the franchise is, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, yeah, they're kind of like, but who knows? I mean, they definitely don't have like that much pressure.
No, and I mean, like I said, yeah, like I said at the start, they're only 3 games out of the AL West, and I mean, it is. I mean, I think anybody would be dumb to say that that's I mean, it's a competitive division, but it is the worst division in baseball. Considering that your top team is a half a game above 500. The Mariners lost today to the Reds, and they could have had a game above 500. So, I can kind of see it from that avenue where the Astros buy, because they're, as long as you can compete in the AL West, you have a shot.
And the Angels, A's are just abysmal most of the time, especially, I mean, this year too. So it's not. Yeah, you just don't have any competition. So why would you not? Especially have a guy.
Can you go down? You got to get down. Come here.
You want to take it.
Well, and the thing of it is, like with the Astros, like they if they're going to make the playoffs, they have to win the division. So if kind of like when we're going to be talking a little bit later about the Tigers, your best shot at the playoffs is to win the division. So I think for me, I would want to see if the Astros are going to buy, they definitely need to focus on pitching. I think pitching is going to be something that's at a premium with right-handed hitters. So I don't think that it's completely out of the realm, but I also don't think that even if they do buy, they're going to be able to do enough, because, as you said, they're getting bat to balls sometimes, but not consistent, and you can't just fix that with adding pitchers. Mm-mm. So I don't think it's advantageous for them to buy. But I didn't come up with anything. Ando, I want to thank you so much. Thank you for giving us a breakdown. We'll see you in another couple of weeks.
Good to see you, buddy.
Thank you for joining us. That has been Ando's assessment. That is a new segment that we'll have every couple of weeks. We appreciate you, buddy. I'll see you on Monday.
Viva la Iowa.
All right. Okay. So now, AJ Hinch said Monday night that the Tigers are basically playing Game 7 every night because the locker room knows what's at stake when it comes to a potential trade of Tarek Skubal. So my first question on this is going to go to you, Dan. What do they need to do to warrant keeping him beyond the deadline?
The Tigers?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think that I don't think they should. Like, because unless, I mean, so they're talented. Like McGonigal, that leads off and plays shortstop. That guy's crazy good. He's going to be one of the best shortstops in baseball here probably in a year or two. Riley Green, I like Riley Green too, but they have. I don't think they have any reason to think they're going to be in this thing long term. They weren't doing very good at the beginning of the year, and now lately it's like they really fell off the wagon.
They fell off pretty quick, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That seems to kind of happen all the time to them. And so, yeah, Gleyber would be a good piece for the Red Sox if he's gonna. Yeah, I don't think it's Skubal. You really just can't. I don't think there's justification to hold on to him, because even is he a part of their future there? Like, yeah, if they think that there's going to be some kind of immediate near future that he's, but I think he's probably going to get. I'd imagine he gets bumped off, which is great for us, but like for the Tigers, it sucks. Like they've had so many good pitchers now. It seem like they start their career there. And then they're always in somewhere else when they're in their prime. Luckily they got Skubal, some of his prime. But yeah, I feel kind of bad for the Tigers. I don't know why. There's a curse on that. There's a curse on the Detroit Tigers.
They are great for developing pitchers, not so much for keeping them. Craig, what about you, man? What do you think? What do the Tigers need to do to keep Tarek Skubal?
They got to stay in the hunt. Number one, I mean, I think AJ Hinch, when he said every game is a Game 7, I think he's answered the question, are they here to win in 2026? I say yes, they are. They got to stay in the playoff pitcher, and they got to buy. Don't stand still. They got to buy. They need to add in their bullpen, arm depth to the bench, and acquire another starter. The young players are doing great. They just need to continue carrying their share. And if I'm the Tigers, and for all you Tiger fans out there, I hope they go hard after school for a contract. I mean, go hard after him, and keep him in the family.
It's no, and I think that you're right. I think that for me, I think that, as we look at it, like I was saying earlier, Detroit has to be going for the division, because with the way that things are going in the American League wildcard situation, there is no guarantee you're going to the playoffs unless you win a division. You could be one game back from your division and still not make the postseason if you're in the AL Central, the AL West. And that's the tough piece right there. So the first thing is you can't lose. And when you look at, like, for me, my big thing is you look at their schedule. They've got 2 starts. Essentially, they get 2 starts with Skubal before the deadline. Friday in Kansas City, Friday against Kansas City, and then Wednesday of next week, which is his last start before the deadline. You don't want that to be his last start in a Tigers uniform. And so you've got to win out as much as possible. They've got 4 games in Kansas City. They're ahead on Chicago right now, which is obviously it's what you want. You got 4 games against Kansas City, 4 games against Baltimore, 3 against the Athletics, backing up to the deadline. Out of that 10 games, you need to go 8-2 at a minimum, because part of that stems from the fact that there are 7 games. I mean, you need to be above 500 first of all. That one of the advantages that they do have, I was reading this yesterday, they actually have played the fewest division games out of anybody in the league. That is to their benefit because of the division that they play in. So if you can get to where you're above 500 and you're within a game or 2 of the division going into the deadline, you definitely, like Craig said, you buy pitching. First of all, there's actually really good hitting on that lineup. Like, Tarek, Gleyber Torres is one of them. There is, I mean, you look at it, Torkelson, Kevin McGonigal, like he said earlier, Riley Green, Javi Baez, if he can come back, which I think he should come back soon. Zach McKinstry, Kerry Carpenter, like these are all decent hitters.
Yeah, for sure.
But you got to beef up your bullpen. I agree with Craig, at least 1 starter. But right now, it has to be win now. You have to be in win now mode to stay in contention, because that AL wildcard competition is going to be stacked. So you've got to have your eyes on the division. Like, they're actually statistically, their best spot at going to the playoffs is winning the division. And so if I'm the Tigers, I'm just balls out on that right now, because that's really your shot. Now, next question here on this before we move on. Should the Tigers be trying to sweet talk him into being willing to be a rental somewhere so they can build up a little bit because of what you can get back for him, even on a rental and a trade, and then re-sign him for whatever he wants, literally whatever he wants in the offseason? Craig?
I love this question. It's so devious. I love it. I honestly do not know. The question is just so fantastic, but I don't have a fantastic answer. I'm sorry. It's just too good.
Dan, I know you're going to bring smoke for this, so let's hear it. What do you got, buddy?
It is a really good question. One, but why would you not? I mean, you would have to get now pieces though back for him right now though. Right? If you're going to make a run at it, like, so you're basically saying like you could go and make a trade for like actual MLB players now, not prospects, and then just come back after the season and kind of play it that way. Like resign him when he's an actual free agent. That's what he is at the end of the year. Correct?
I mean, because think about it, and that's right. Because look at it this way: the 2 biggest teams that we know for a fact are going to be making a play for Tarek Skubal are the Dodgers and the Yankees. Right? We all know this. I mean, those would be the 2 biggest things. Like, all 29 other teams should be knocking on the door saying, "What do we got to do?" But the 2 biggest teams that are going to have disposable bigger pieces are the Dodgers and the Yankees.
Yeah.
So this is when, if you're the Tigers, you focus on, okay, so a couple of prospects and some picks would be great. But I need to come away from this trade with the piece that I know when I start next season, the next season, whether it's in 2027 or 2028, whatever ends up being because of the lockout. When I start that season, I want to have a contending team, and I want to be able to just hand Tarek Skubal a blank check and say, you write the number, we'll sign it, you take it to the bank. That's the end of the negotiations. That's because there are teams that have tried it before, and it does happen on occasion where they'll trade a piece. He's a rental for the end of the season, and then he comes back and signs his free agent deal in the offseason. Because they have complete control over, because a lot of teams are going to be like, well, we want to be able to confirm that we have a long-term deal worked out before we trade. No. That's all they have to say.
Right.
And then you have a conversation with Tarek before he goes like, we're gonna build up. We have to do this. Realistically, we don't have a choice. But don't sign a deal until the offseason when we can have a chance to match it and give you whatever you want.
Right. If you're a smaller market team, I guess Detroit's not a smaller market. If you're a team that doesn't keep a lot of their stars and stuff, you might have to pull a risky move like that in order to get enough players to win. You might have to take that pull from him, and then if you guys don't think you can make a run this year, then you go re-sign him. You have those guys plus, and you only had to get rid of him for half a year. It's actually it's a pretty ballsy move, and they probably need to pull a move somewhat like that. So I don't see why not. I mean, that'd be awesome if they know they can do it too. But you don't want to trade him off and then obviously lose out on him and you don't get back. It would just be a disaster. It could be disastrous, but it could also be really good. It could also.
I would almost say you would want to be in a position where you would want to have quiet conversation with his agent. Like, look, we all know we got to do this, but he's going to get whatever he wants when he comes back in. So let's get everything ready. Let's hammer out the deal so that you have every incentive to wait. Because even if he's got Drew Rosenhaus, which I think that's who his agent is, you dangle that carrot out in front of Drew Rosenhaus and be like, look, we're going to make him the highest paid pitcher in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Drew's going to go, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
He has no reason not to, right?
Yeah.
So
he just says no to everybody besides before he gets to it.
Right, because they know that they're going to have to break that. Regardless, if you're going to keep Tarek, you have to break the bank. Any team that signs him, whether it's the Tigers, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the D-backs, the Red Sox, whoever takes him, the number on that check is going to be so long as a to be continued at the end after some of the zeros. Like, that's just what it is. And you want to get him signed before the lockout because you don't know what kind of a limit you're going to have after. And there's no way the players agree to anything where they lose money. So any deal that's in place before the lockout, if there's any kind of a cap that happens, those deals are getting grandfathered in and those players are getting their money. It's the only way that it happens. I'll tell you that now. So you make sure everybody's in position. And that's like to me, that seems like the most, like, it's a ballsy move. And some people might get pissed off at it. I don't care. But they don't have a choice. Because what you can get in return for trade from him is too big to ignore, at least in my opinion. So I think that's kind of what they have to look at.
They're definitely scared too that he's going to, and he's going to realize he wants to play. Like, that's definitely, they let him go. Learn to like it there. In which case, they're not going to win the sweepstakes return. For him. I think it'd be a real ballsy because I don't think you're going to get him back.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from Tarek Skubal, I want to talk about Nolan Arenado. In my opinion, he is definitely one of the greatest third basemen in the league, in the history of the league as well. He's got 10 gold gloves, 6 platinum gloves, 5 silver sluggers. He has now hit the 2,000 hit mark. He has 366 career home runs and a career batting average of 280. Does he already have enough of a case for the Hall of Fame, Dan?
Ooh, that's a close one. I think that he's going to have to pull off more years. He's obviously past his prime. Nolan Arenado. absolutely stud, like the Rockies years. But I think he's past his time at this point. But I think he'll play for 3 or 4 years. He's only like 35, I believe. 35.
Yeah, he's yeah.
Yeah, so he'll probably play for a couple more years, and I think he'll definitely have. I don't think that they'll be obviously not going to hit 40 home runs a year like he was for a second, but still great defensively. Like obviously he's a veteran. Yeah, like I think he's got a case for sure probably right now if you look at numbers, but that would be, you know, not first ballot.
Oh yeah, no. And to be clear, I'm not saying first ballot at all.
Right.
I'm just saying does he have a case where when that first ballot gets done, he's not getting voted in, but when the next ballot comes up, he's still there.
For sure. I think right now, I think like I said, I think he's going to add like 3 more years. Definitely. I think he definitely will when he's done. Sure. Not a doubt. He probably does right.
Craig, what do you think?
Oh, you guys. You're
I
asking
had to go second here for intentionally. I wanted to.
You're asking a Giants fan who has watched this guy single-handedly destroy the Giants year in and year out. My answer, I'm going to surprise you guys. I did some homework. I put it back on paper again. Yes, I think he comes off as a first ballot Hall of Famer, guys. And here's why. 10 gold gloves, as you mentioned, Tony, 6 platinum gloves. Those awards clearly set him apart as a premier defensive third baseman of his era. Not just, he's that good. It's of his era. And we all recognize the 3,000 hits. That is the rarefied air. And with the 280 average, consistently offensive production. You want to compare him to some current Hall of Famers for third base? Mike Schmidt, more power. Adrian Beltre, and Brooks Robinson had less offense than Nolan. So you got Nolan's got better defense, got better offense than Brooks Robinson. Adrian Beltre the most recent. He compares very closely to Arenado. I think Arenado's going to get 75% of the votes on his first ballot. And by the time he's finished, he may go down as one of the top 10 greatest third basemen of the modern era. So there. All 10 toes are on this one, guys. I got them all out there. All 10 toes.
I expected a little more resistance from you, but I respect that. It's for me,
I kind of
like,
was too.
I
was thinking
appreciate his talent. I appreciate his talent defensively. And I think that in a modern game where offensive talent is so much more focused on, he's one of the most consistent third basemen in the game. And then you add in a career batting average of 280. Like he's hitting 245 this year, and his batting average for his career is still 280.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I like, to me, plus all the silver sluggers that he has, and that so you look at it offensively, he's been really good. And then you flip that over and you look at the defensive side of the ball, which is so underappreciated in today's game. The 6 platinum gloves, which I would be willing to bet, because that award is more recent, if I remember correctly.
Probably the most based.
I would be willing to bet that is a chance he could have had more. I can't remember when the platinum glove started, but I'm pretty sure it was in the last 15 years. I would say there's a chance he probably could potentially have more. And so for me, I think he has a case. If he gets a World Series ring, I will lean towards first ballot. And I because there's definitely so much of a weight to that when it comes to the players and all. And obviously there's plenty that aren't. Ted Williams doesn't have a ring. Carl Yastrzemski doesn't have a ring. And obviously that there's they have an elite level of talent to where it kind of overrode the curse of the Bambino that they played under. But when you look at Arenado, he was a standout player on some really good Cardinals teams. He actually was crazy is when I was looking at when I was researching for this question, because we talked about this last night on the Sports Nuts podcast as well. when you look at this, he actually career-wise, he had a bit the better part of his peak. He was with the Rockies, and
Yeah,
he was
like-
dominating the position still.
He thinks that Hall of Fame voters would count him off. They would be that petty.
Right, and like
oh, he played in Coors, so like that his numbers are going to be inflated. It's like, well, not really, because then he went and did the same thing in St. Louis. It's like not,
exactly.
but I can see them being petty about it and being like, oh, well, those numbers. Like,
I would argue because I would argue that he gets credit because he's not necessarily just a long ball hitter. Yeah, he has like 360 plus career home runs, but he also hits for average. And then you look at when he was in St. Louis, he went to where, as the hitting was actually starting to get more aggressive in the league, and the standard was kind of going back up to what we used to expect in the 80s and 90s. Defensively, he was still perfect. He was still getting gold gloves. He was still getting platinum gloves. Like he was still defensively elite. And I think for me, that makes a difference. But ultimately, I think if he's going to get first ballot, he has to have a ring. I don't think there's any way around that, especially when you factor in the way that voters might see the fact that some of his hitting career numbers come from the most hitter-friendly ballpark in the game.
Well, maybe the most hitter-friendly ballpark, but also look at his defense in the most hitter-friendly ballpark.
Right. And that's where I think things kind of balance out. But I think if you give him even one ring, his trip to Cooperstown comes a lot quicker. I think he still gets it in the end. But I think if we want to start looking towards first, second, third ballot, I think there has to be a ring on it, you know. But if not, he gets in third, fourth, fifth ballot. I think that's when we start to see him get that 75%. Regardless, because I think it's hard. Very few first ballot Hall of Famers don't have a ring. Very, very few. Whereas when you look at some of these guys like Carl Yastrzemski, he was not. Ted Williams was the first ballot. Carl Yastrzemski wasn't. So it's and I mean those are just some elite guys that were really good at hitting, but you also did not want to have to deal with them defensively because they were top tier. So for me, I like him as a Hall of Famer. I think that he gets there a lot quicker if he gets at least one ring before he retires. And you're right, he is 35, so he's probably got 3, maybe 4 seasons left.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
His numbers won't be as good, obviously, as in St. Louis. He's on the backside of his career. Nobody expects him to be hitting his prime number. Yeah. No, that's a good point. And like I think that he is going to go. Like Craig kind of convinced me he might go first ballot just because of the consistency. It's been like a second too. And like what is it, 15-year career? I think is it 14 or 15 years.
I mean, yeah, 13, 14, 15, somewhere in there. Yeah.
It will depend on how he finishes his career, but
yeah, no, I think you're right. And it's, to me, like I said, I think he gets to go, but I think at this point, when is going to depend on how he finishes. You know, if they trade him to a third base needy team in the next couple of weeks, if the D-backs trade him to a third base needy team in the next couple of weeks, and you know he goes to the Yankees and they end their World Series drought, yeah. But I mean, I don't think that the Yankees would need him. I'm just using it as an example. Like, that's what I think it's how he ends it. I think you're right. All right. So before we wrap up, I want to ask you guys something. We can take a little bit of time with this. We're actually back on track for time. We have the trade deadline coming August 3rd. And I want a prediction from each of you on a player that gets moved that hasn't been a huge topic already. So no Tarek Skubal, stuff like that. Craig, what do you think?
I hold in my hand. Does the name Reed Detmers ring a bell?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Thank you. Thank you. So many positives for this kid. His pitches missed bats, which if you're playing for October, must have. He's got, whoever gets him will have control of him for multiple years. Very attractive. Way better than a rental. A rebuilding team could receive a big package of prospects for Detmers. And the teams that I think that should be paying attention to Detmers, first the Chicago Cubs, then the Philadelphia Phillies, that he would deepen their postseason rotation. The Orioles, if they stick around for October baseball, he would be a good plus. And your Red Sox, Tony, a controllable starter, long-term contract, very attractive.
You're not wrong. I just had to hit that. He's got 2 years of arbitration left before he's he's an unrestricted free agent. So if you're a team that's trading for him, you're going to have to put out a pretty penny because he is absolutely shoving. So if you're a team that's trading for Reed Detmers, you're probably doing so with the intention of signing him. So this is probably like you said, Philly, Detroit is another team that needs some pitching. Houston is another one that if you're going to, Boston as well. Boston, I think, kind of depends on when you're going to get Garrett Crochet back, because once Garrett Crochet is back, your rotation is Garrett Crochet, Sonny Gray, Ranger Suarez, Peyton Tolley, and then Connolly early, I think, ends up being one of the trade pieces, and I think they keep Justin Bennett. Either Connolly stays and Justin Bennett gets traded, or Justin Bennett stays and Connolly early gets traded. So that is, if everybody's locating and hurling correctly, that's one of the best rotations in baseball starting this season.
Solid.
So is it possible, depending on how they're going to shore up that back end of the rotation? Absolutely. But I think that a team like Detroit or Houston or Philly, Atlanta, because the word is, I'm hearing from sources closer to the Braves that it is very likely Spencer Strider is indeed getting his third Tommy John.
Wow.
Which means if you're getting him back, he's in the bullpen. And that's a year and a half away. You don't see him at all in 2027 if there's a season. Your best prospect on that is 2028 as a bullpen guy, a la Garrett Whitlock. That's what you're going to get out of Spencer Strider now. So if you're Atlanta, an investment like Reed Detmers makes sense. Dan, what do you think, buddy?
That's just your daily reminder to skip leg day. The Spencer Strider story is just everybody's daily reminder to not or cap, because you will literally ragdoll your upper body into 3 Tommy John surgeries. So be calm it on the quads. All right. They look great. He looks like a horse. Fantastic. But he's just been ragdolling his right arm around for his elbow was like, no more. No more. Yeah. No more. Like he's just just the runaway legs. That's terrible. That is kind of sad. I like Spencer Strider. For my trade person, I'm gonna go with the whole team. So I think the Orioles are gonna sell. I think that you mentioned Adley Rutschman earlier, switch hitting catcher, that'd be awesome. That guy was the top. He was 2 on the MLB 100 2 years ago. So the guy's obviously got the potential. I actually like Jackson Holiday or Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson would be a big one. That's a long shot, obviously. I can see Jackson Holiday for one of those young guys on the move. Last year they moved on Cedric Mullins at the trade deadline, and that was weird because they were in the hunt kind of, and they off Cedric Mullins. So it could be another one of those guys. They have a lot of young. They know that they're going to get washed up by the police. I don't think, but I think they're probably going to be selling them. That's my guys. some of those young guys.
I don't hate what you're saying there. And I think that for me, the thing that I look at with that entire team but going into the season, I was really high on the Orioles. I know a lot of people were, because they'd really done some stuff to right their lineup, and it's still possible that they're a wild card team. But in the reality of how they've performed this year, are they going to be able to be consistent when it comes to October when it matters? I don't think so. So if you make some moves like Adley Rutschman, I think Jackson Holiday is a lot more likely to get traded. I don't think Pete Alonso is going anywhere. I don't think he wants to. I would be surprised if he doesn't have a no trade, or at least a no trade that's going to limit to some of the teams that would want him. Like, because like sometimes, especially when you sign your first big deal, they'll give you like 5 teams or a no trade or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least a short list of teams that he won't go to, like probably the Yankees, and stuff like that. So I think that out of that team on the defensive side, Jackson Holiday, I mean, he's a lot better now than he was, but like they brought him up too soon. They had to send him back down. And then when you look at him now statistically, he is, I mean, we're basically a full season worth of play, and his career batting average is 226. If you can trade him, like defensively, he's not horrible, but if you can trade him, you're not going to get as much for him. But they kind of, he's one of those players that they kind of paid early. And I think some of that had to do with who his dad is.
I was going to say.
So the question becomes, can you get something worth it in return for him? How much of his contract are you going to have to eat to be able to do it? I don't hate Adley Rutschman. The fact that he's a switch hitting catcher, I think, is great. For Boston, we need a right-handed hitter. We need right-handed bats, not a switch or a left-handed dominant that can switch. We need right-handed hitters, and so that's why I lean towards Shaling Lears. But if I woke up and they said, while you were asleep, the Red Sox got Adley Rutschman, okay, yeah, I'm not going to be mad about it.
Depending on what they give up.
I mean, right. Yeah. I think that's I would be more focused on what the deal is for him, but I wouldn't immediately scream in anger, if I had to pick somebody to get moved, I would almost think, and this is kind of a ballsy prediction, people are going to think I'm nuts, I could see Philly trading Zach Wheeler. He is an ace on at least 20 squads in this league. You have a couple of teams like the aforementioned ones that we've talked about, like Houston and Detroit, that need an arm like that. But his frustration with all-star game voters, now he handles the media, his disappointment that he lost his ace role when he went down for injury last year because Christopher Sanchez showed up and just dominated. The Phillies need to make some trades. If you have a guy like Zach Wheeler as the anchor of a trade, you're getting some heat in return. Like, you're getting some good players in return. You're getting some now players in return. And I think that could end up being beneficial for both parties. Houston stands behind their players. You put Zach Wheeler down there, he's going to be near the top of the rotation. The fans are going to love him. I think that if you put him in Detroit, those are very loyal fans, and they do actually, they develop pitching well. I think he goes to Detroit. Maybe that's how Philly gets Skubal. You have to give up a lot less for Skubal if you're sending Zach Wheeler over in return. Maybe it's even straight across. Because you're getting an ace. And when you already have Tarek Skubal, or you're losing Tarek Skubal, like if you're Detroit and you're losing Tarek Skubal, you need a true ace. It's Zach Wheeler. And if they're able to sign Tarek in the offseason and bring him back, that's one of the most feared 1-2 starters in the league. You're going between Zach Wheeler and Tarek. You got Tarek Skubal and then Zach Wheeler. Are you kidding me? They would own the AL Central. Doesn't matter how good your bats are, Cleveland. Sorry, Kansas City. That's your strongest 1-2 in baseball right there at that point. So as crazy as it would be, and I know that there's a lot of stuff with contracts and people are going to think I'm nuts. But if I had to pick one surprising player to get traded outside of what's already been mentioned, I like Zach Wheeler. What do you think?
You are a soothsayer. You're looking into the future big time there.
That's
a big move.
Again, but think about it. If you're Philly and you've got to trade for Tarek Skubal, you're giving up a lot less of Zach Wheeler's in that package.
And he's younger too.
He's younger, right? And that kind of an ego mix with a Philly fan base is not going to mix well for long. I'm sorry.
No.
It's and that's the hard thing. And if you're getting Zach Wheeler, if you're Detroit, you get Zach Wheeler, you lose Tarek Skubal. If you don't re-sign Tarek Skubal, you still have an ace to anchor your lineup, your rotation, because he's an ace, and he gets to be the ace in Detroit if that happens. And if you bring in Tarek Skubal, if you're Christopher Sanchez, the attention's off of you a little bit. And he's struggled the last couple of outings. I don't know that he wants to be the ace. He's just so good. Like he's kind of a victim of his own success. So you put him in that Sonny Gray spot. You put him in that you put him in that number 2 spot in the rotation, and you have Tarek Skubal in front of it. That is a deadly rotation in Philly. If your 1-2 starts with Skubal and Sanchez. So, but I think pitching will be at a premium this year, especially right-handed pitchers, because there's been so much of an emphasis on left-handed hitters, left-handed pitchers, that the pendulum has to swing back. And so I think that you're going to see some right-handed arms go for a little bit more. And I think that you're going to see some right-handed bats go for a little bit more. The A's get more for Shea Langoliers this year than they would have last year, control notwithstanding. Like that's just an example. Obviously there's going to be a bunch of others that get traded. I do think that Jose Altuve, I do think that the Astros take calls on Altuve. I think that the D-backs take calls on Ketel Marte. I think that the Jackson Holiday I think that the O's take some calls on Jackson Holiday purely because he's a right-handed hitting shortstop and second baseman. And defensively, he's not bad. So I think it's possible. Let's see. What else did we have today? Didn't have no other chat questions. For those of you that catch the show after, if you want to jump in the chat, leave some questions. I try to check stuff throughout the week on both the YouTube shows as well as our Facebook page. You can also give me a follow on TikTok at FGD7. The Morning Minute is there, along with the fact that I'm always posting show clips and stuff like that. Would love to hear from you. I want to thank Ando for joining us tonight for Ando's assessment. That is going to be a recurring thing we do every couple of weeks. And then I want to thank everyone for watching tonight. I want to give a special thank you to the Sportsnets Network for asking us to join them. And as always, so much love to Wire to Wire. We love working with those guys. You guys are so good to me and to us as a whole. Next week, I think we're going to have Erica back. I think we're going to talk some AUSL. I know we got the Women's Professional Baseball League coming, so definitely check us out. Set those reminders for 10 p.m. Eastern next Wednesday night. And as always, for Wire to Wire and Sports Nuts, make sure to check out both networks and show them some love. They both feature content creators with a wealth of knowledge and insight, and they love to share with you. Make sure to give them a follow. And, after you get done stopping by the podcasting Deferred Facebook page and giving it a follow. If you're like, yes, I am, you're probably not. You only have 145 followers on the Facebook page, so I know better. I know we deserve better. Not trying to be a dick, but we do. I think we can do better. So help us out. Give it a share. Give it a follow. I appreciate it. And if you missed any of tonight's episode, by the next day, all episodes are posted onto our Spotify as well as wherever else you get your podcast at. So definitely make sure to give that a follow and check it out. For my co-hosts, I am Seven. Thank you for checking out Podcasting Deferred. Have a good night, everybody.